is Pete Oswald. He's an experienced skier and, well, he's a free skier actually. He's more than that. He's pretty incredible, and he's a safety officer at the remarkable ski area. And last week he himself was caught up in an avalanche. Took him by surprise, and I thought it's a good time to chat about just what these things are like and the hazards they pose on a mountain. So, kia ora, Pete, are you on the line?
Kia ora, yes I am. Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, got you loud and clear. Actually, that's fantastic. So, like I said, I mean, skiing's in your blood. It's something you do all the time, and you do some pretty extreme skiing. But talk us through, like, what happened last week at Coronet.
Yeah, firstly, I just got to clarify that I'm not the safety officer at Coronet Peak. That's my partner in an upcoming project, Will Roundtree.
You're right. My bad.
Yeah, no, good. Just want to straighten that one out. But
you're right. Okay, you're not the safety officer. You are an avid skier, but you are, you know. We'll talk about your collaboration with Will later. But yeah, so what happened last week?
So I had been quite often. My wife and I go up to Coronet Peak with with our daughter, and we'll go up there early, and then one of us will ski tour up the mountain, and before the lifts open, and take turns doing that. So we have an early run, get fitness. And so that morning I had gone up, and I had with me all my Avalanche kit, including an airbag, and I was with my brother as well. And because we knew there was new snow around, and we fancied ourselves pretty safe within the ski area boundaries. But I always like to have the gear with me. Admittedly, I hadn't checked the avalanche advisory that morning, but because I felt I could easily self-manage where we were going, as I go there many times a week, and knew the base there already, the snow base. But anyway, so then I'd come back to, that all went well, and then I skied back down to base, and my wife went out skiing. I looked after my daughter, and then she came in saying, "Look, it's really good, you should go out skiing." And so I went out, and I left my Avalanche airbag in the cafe,
right,
as I kind of normally do, as I normally often do if I'm skiing within the resort. And I went down a run called Exchange, which is just off the main piste, and often gathers, nice snow when it's windy.
I know that
it
one.
had been windy.
Yeah.
So it's a good little stash for when a storm comes in. And what I first noticed when I went down there was it hadn't loaded much snow at the top like I thought it had. Instead, it was all stripped back to ice in the first few meters. And so I started just side-slipping down a little bit. And then I looked over to my left across the slope, and there was a guy scampering up the slope, and on an opposite kind of ridge. And I couldn't figure out what he was doing. Then I noticed he was walking up to get a ski.
Yeah.
And it was within range of me kind of traversing the slope to get it for him, to save him climbing too much more. And so that's what I did. I started traversing over, and he would have been about maybe just over 50 metres away, or about 50 metres. And as I started traversing over in really whiteout conditions, couldn't really see much at all, I noticed the snow was pretty deep. And it was suddenly quite deep because I'd gone further into the slope. So where I'd come from was icy, and as I went across the slope where it had a bit of a almost like a shallow valley effect, it was suddenly really deep. And as soon as I kind of noticed this, I noticed all the cracks around me, and then I was moving down the slope pretty quick. So there I was. Oh man! Cruising down the slope in the avalanche. So.
Okay, so you've suddenly felt this force behind you.
Yeah, it's not so much of a force, more of a weightlessness what's happening, because like I said, you couldn't see much, but the first thing I noticed was the cracks around me, and then noticed I was moving. And then once you're in an avalanche and it starts moving, you kind of lose all control. There's nothing you can push against because everything is moving. So I'm on my side, and there's just nothing you can really do. So there I was. So I had to run. I was trying to kick my skis off to try to, because they can act as an anchor if you're in an avalanche. So it's a good idea to try and get them off, but I couldn't even do that. So
what was going through your mind?
Well, first thing I did was shout because I've been in situations like this before, and you prepare for it. First thing I did was shouted at the guy who was there, who saw it, who was watching. I said, slide, 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 as in an avalanche slide, like telling him that in case he hadn't noticed, which it would have been hard for him not to. But so he knew to keep eyes on me, and then I said after that, call someone, as I was just kind of disappearing, as I was getting further away from him, because he was on his own, obviously also without avalanche gear. But I was actually wearing my avalanche beacon from earlier in the day.
Right.
But,
so if you could have activated that if you were completely buried.
I don't. It's always activating. So when you've got it on, it's turned on. Generally, is the rule,
right.
So it was on me and turned on. So, but interestingly, nobody really would have known that I had it on, and you just, I guess, would have hoped that I had been buried, that whoever turns up knew to had another transceiver and thought to look, just in case I did have one on. But the other thing that was going through my mind was I couldn't really believe this was happening where I've skied so many times before, and at Coney Peak. It was just goes to show that, that it was a weird day. It was a strange storm, and it had all gathered in a place where I guess no one really kind of expected it. Well, kind of expected it to, but it was a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be down there.
Yeah, interesting. And it's like you said, it was a strange storm because you said all the different accumulations, it was sort of quite uneven, and then you had the hardness underneath.
Yeah, so earlier in that day, when Sophie came in to tell me to go out, she said, patrol are out there telling people that there's some hazards around. So patrol were notifying people as they got off the lift, saying, hey, there's big snowdrifts, even on the groomed piece, be careful. And they had some very good warnings out on their on the report that morning, telling people to be careful. And they were very much generally out and about and, trying to keep people safe.
It's funny, isn't it? Because Coronet's not our tallest mountain, I always think of Remarks as being more hazardous, but it just shows you, like you said, that a place that seems quite accessible, and you were in an area with other skiers who would have been way less experienced than you, weren't you?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it was kind of good that it was me that went and triggered that.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it was quite a spook just for me, actually. I think more so that I couldn't really see much around me, so I had no idea how big it was. It was definitely quite deep where I triggered it, where it let go, so I couldn't feel anything underneath me, if that makes sense. So It was deep enough for me to kind of lose all control and be taken down the hill.
Yeah, amazing. And so you reckon you travelled, how far?
I'm estimating like 40, 50 metres, maybe more, maybe less. I mean, your mind kind of plays tricks on these things, especially in whiteout conditions. So, I'd have to really, because I know the patrol went out and investigated it afterwards, so I would have to go back to the slope to tell you exactly, but I reckon about 50 metres. But when I couldn't see, I couldn't tell where I was going to stop, because that slope has a nice kind of terrain trap, like a bench scallop at the bottom of it, and then it goes down again through a gully quite far down. And what was going through my mind was I had no idea where I was going to stop and how big this thing was, because I just couldn't see because of the condition. Yeah.
And have you been in one of these before, Pete?
Yeah, I've been in a few avalanches, but never been buried, touch wood, or never been fully buried. But this one was one of the few where I was really caught out, like just totally off guard, not expecting it. Didn't have all my proper gear on, and was within a scary boundary. But so it was a bit different.
Oh yeah, I reckon. So you notified staff, and of course, then that they acted, and I guess they would have, been warning people. But luckily, it was relatively small.
Yeah, exactly. It was relatively small. Like, look, when we, myself and the ski instructor who was there, whose ski I was trying to retrieve, we both regrouped in a safe spot down there and had a look at it. And when looking at it from down below from the safe spot, it wasn't that big, but it definitely moved me down the hill. But he also tried to take a photo. I asked him to take a photo just to show, what it was, what had happened as evidence, because you want to learn from these things. And we couldn't even get a photo of it. We couldn't see, that much. He managed to get something that could be kind of made out, but not really.
This was Friday, wasn't it?
It was Friday, Friday morning, about 10:30 or something.
We've had a bit of that whiteout stuff, haven't we? Because actually, sadly, a friend of ours had a really bad crash. He's from Australia and he was skiing Green Gates, which is also at Coronet. I mean, this has nothing to do with an avalanche though, but had a really bad crash and ended up in hospital. In fact, they were going to chopper him to Dunedin. He's going to be okay, I think. But he said, I think it was just too much. He didn't realise just how extreme that run was, and it was whiteout. And this was it Saturday morning? Yeah, and couldn't see anything, and then he was in ice, and then he just took a terrible fall. So I guess there's kind of a general warning there for everyone in the holidays right now, is just to be pretty wary.
Yeah, I mean it is the mountains after all, and we like to go up and have fun up there because it is an adventure. But with adventure comes the unknown. So, I mean, and with winter it comes bad weather conditions. But unfortunately, you need that to get the snow. So, and these things all need to be taken into account when you go into these places, because although it is, it's a service provided, but these risks are not all, they're always still there, like in many things we do day to day. We have rules on the road, but it's still a very hazardous place to be, to drive on the road. And the same goes for many other different environments, and especially the mountain environment. Yeah.
And what's the worst experience you've had on a mountain, Pete?
It's a big, broad question.
Well, it is really. Well, okay. How about what you said? You've been in other avalanches. What was the worst? And where was it?
One of the scariest ones was in Chamonix in France, and I was on a photo shoot to get an image going off this quite big cliff, and it was about 75 feet or maybe more. And as I skied into the top of the cliff, there was a very big hanging pad of snow, and as I skied in, it released. And then I was taken off a much larger part of the cliff and was swallowed up completely as before I even was got the cliff. And then I fell 90 plus feet in a cloud of snow, and I didn't know what I was going to hit when I came out of that cloud of snow, whether it was going to be rocks or snow. But in the last sort of 30 feet of the fall, I came out of the avalanche cloud to see that I was going to hit snow. So it was quite a relief. But that definitely got the orifice puckered up a little bit. But,
I reckon that sounds horrendous, actually. That's really awful. But you managed, did you avoid any injury there?
I got a couple little bruises, but I was fine, to be honest. It's just a bruising of the ego and the confidence more than anything else.
That's such a good point, isn't it? When you go into these places, there is a pride. Your pride's at stake. You want to think you'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. But you got to take your things on as learnings and take them forward to try to mitigate them happening again.
Yeah. Do you remember a few years? It was quite a while ago now, but I was working for TV3, and I remember having I believe that a skier lost their life at Coronet Peak. It might have been two, actually. Definitely there was one fatality in an avalanche, and
I remember that.
We were so shocked that could happen here.
Yeah, I don't remember the details of that actually at all, but I can't remember. The things I remember, something about, I'm not sure if it was inbound or out of bounds, but I've got a funny feeling it was out of bounds.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was in the back country, and but I remember driving up and thinking, I just didn't think this would happen here. It was quite a long time ago. I think. Yeah. Do you think probably our systems? I mean, the mountains are pretty good, aren't they? The ski fields with advising people and sealing off stuff.
Oh, they're very good.
And the avalanche blasting.
Yeah, I think they're exceptionally good, and they have got really good systems, and they know their terrain, and they've got extremely experienced, knowledgeable people running it. And I don't think I have got no blame to lay anything or anywhere about what happened on Friday. It's just you can't possibly mitigate 100% of the risk 100% of the time. It's just impossible, and that's was my message, because I put this out on social media after it happened, more to warn. To let people know there's a hazard there today. And it was also just to warn my friends who often love to ski down there too. And further down that slope, there could have been more avalanche hazard, and I just felt responsible to let people know, share the information. Like, I think that's a big part of being in the mountains and the mountaineering and skiing communities. We share the information about the conditions so we can all learn and know what's going on and be more safe as a community, basically.
Yeah, and it's a good thing, and I think we do that in this community a lot and like to help other people out. So good on you for actually speaking out. Now, I've got to talk to you before I let you go about what's going on at the Remarkables. You have got an interesting world-first attempt that you're working on at the moment with Will Roundtree, who is the safety officer at Remarkables, and he's a skiing pal of yours as well. What are you trying to do with this, Pete? Tell us all about it.
Right, so what we're trying to do, this is Will's idea. He came up with it a little while ago. We actually attempted it last year, but we got skunked because of the lockdown. But his idea is to ski all of the 10 major Alta-Cirque chutes within one day, which we believe has never been done. But you never know. There might be some old salty dog out there from the 90s that did it just quietly, didn't tell anyone about it, But yeah.
There could be, but it's an incredible thing to attempt. So it's 14 hours, isn't it, that you're going to be on your skis trying to do this?
Well, we're thinking we have no idea exactly how long it's going to be, but 12 to 14 hours what our estimate is, and it's no given that we'll be able to get it done. There's many factors that may prove that it's impossible for us, or on that particular day. So we just have to do our best and see if it can be done, and we'll give it our best crack.
So fitness, you would have to be in peak physical condition because you have to climb up these steep, slopes, 4,000 vertical meters on foot, and then ski along to the 10 chutes, right? That's so grueling, isn't it? Yeah, you'd hope to be in peak physical fitness, and I want to get there, but man, life is busy, and I have a young daughter and a business to run, so I'm doing my best, but it's going to be hard work. But I'm trying to put myself through it mentally to try and make sure that I can get it done. Like, I've done some long days, but I think once you get through to about like an hour 8, 9 of a mission, it's the physical stuff kind of goes out the window. It's just what you can. It's your mental ability to just keep going. I mean, you guys amaze me because I've got this photo in front of me of you, and oh God, you're free falling down this sort of rock face, and it just looks so perilous. And it's like, what drives you to go so extreme with skiing?
Well, I think it may look super extreme from the outside looking in, but when you go and ski those lines, there's a lot of preparation and stuff that goes into it, and it's a massively long progression of getting to be able to the ability to be able to ski those lines mentally and physically, and just experiences to get there. So to be able to ski some of the more technical lines that I'm able to ski has taken decades. So and it's like anything people who spend their life doing something, it doesn't seem that way to us because we've spent so long preparing for it. And on any given day when you ski a line, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. If you just watch a little video clip of a line, you're like, wow, that looked crazy. But the amount of thought and prep and investigation on the snowpack and the slope and the times that we may have skied it beforehand doesn't get seen. So
yeah,
to us, it's not that extreme.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back to Paul Ahern in 1995. Now, he dropped,
That is extreme. 225
feet. Dropped 225 feet. That is bonkers.
By anyone's measure, that is ludicrous. Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm a prime example of looking in from the outside. I don't know what was going through his mind and how he was able to do that. To me, that is extreme and crazy, but I'm sure he put some thought and some plan in, but to me, that's nuts.
Yeah, unreal. And you know what? It's so great to watch this stuff, though. Like, I'm quite addicted to watching free skiers, and particularly up Remarks. There's something very special and dramatic about that mountain range. It's unreal, as we all know. And so, I think what Storyworks are doing by filming this, Josh Wallace's company, I think it's going to be really popular, to make this. I just do hope that this all comes together for you, because it'll be a great watch.
Yeah, I think it will be, hopefully. We just hope that they were Will and I just want to get it done so we can so we can have a film made, like it's it's definitely out there in the open now that we're going to give it a crack. So we are going to do our best, but there's no guarantees. Like, we actually wanted to just quietly go and do it and have a film made and then celebrate.
And then celebrate.
We're definitely actually feeling a bit of pressure now. So maybe that's a good thing. Who knows? But we want to get it done, but we also mindful of. It may not be possible to do it safely, and above all else, I definitely want to come home to my wife and daughter. So.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. And it's like take your time, plan it right, put in all the because there's so much to do, isn't there, with something like this, with a mission like this, so much to think about.
Yeah, and it's a waiting game for the perfect conditions. We're very lucky that Will's come up with us, and he has a wealth of knowledge on snowpack and safety, and he's in there every day, kind of knowing what the pack's doing, which is, to me, one of the biggest parts that we have to prepare for, because at the end of the day, like, when as day goes on and the more time I spend with my young daughter, my threshold for risk is rapidly decreasing. So,
yeah, that's right.
It's just I don't want to only mitigate that risk as much as I can. So Pete, that perfect day might not come along. So
that's right. That's right. I fully understand that, but I know everyone will be behind you. When you do go for it. If it all comes together, well, we'll all be backing you, and we'll all be wishing you the best. But I think, like, it's funny what you talk about with risk and fear. When you have children, it's weird how that changes, isn't it? Like, you do actually want to take care of yourself more.
Oh, big time. Yeah, and I don't know what... I try to run back to how my mind worked pre-Tula, who is my daughter's name, but it's a funny thing how the body has evolved to lessen the risk appetite as it happens. But it happens. Well, it's happened to me, but it just makes you think a lot more, but you just got to... the consequences are high, so... Yeah, I know. Well, we'll follow it closely, and just now maybe you can just quietly get on with it. Now there's been the initial fuss, and you can just work away in the background, with Josh and everything, and see how it goes. And like you say, it might not happen this year. It could be next year, couldn't it? It could well be, yeah. And we just got to wait for those perfect conditions, or it may never be quite perfect, but as safe as it possibly can, and hopefully we get that window. But we'll wait and see. But hopefully people kind of forget that we're doing it, and then we can just quietly go off and do it, and they go, hey,
look what we did. Watch this. This was cool. This was an interesting time. But is there an age? Can you see yourself like maybe not free skiing, but certainly skiing until you're 90? If you live that long.
Oh, I'm definitely be skiing when I'm 90 if I'm still alive, I'd say. I mean, whether it be in a sit ski or having a wee gin up on the patio deck or something in the snow, I'll be skiing in one way.
Yeah, deck skiing. Deck skiing,
there we go.
Yeah, that's my specialty.
No.
Yeah. When I get too scared, and it's bad for me because, that's what I've found over the years. I used to, now I have to get my real nerve up to even just sort of go up there, especially when it's busy, because I'm like, if I come down and I'm not hurt, or, I feel good, it's like, all good, I didn't get into trouble,
Yeah, no, it's funny you talk about because being busy, like, that's a big hazard too. Like, both my mum and my sister have both been taken out by skiers and been choppered to hospital. Like, there's a lot of hazards up there. So yeah, especially on the busy times, and it'll be chocker at the moment for sure. But it's been really good to talk, Pete, and I just hope now you can quietly go away and think about that and work with Will, and maybe after it's all done, we'll have a catch up again. Yeah, sounds good.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Hey, well,
all
I'm
right.
glad that, the Avalanche wasn't too bad too. And, like I say, all the best. Talk to you soon.
Cool.
Appreciate
all right,
it.
thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Pete Oswald, New Zealand and, Queenstown free skier, had an interesting few days dodging that avalanche at Coronet Peak. Yeah, mountains are dangerous.